He is literally David Cameron with a red tie.
Question Time is a UK TV programme on BBC One, which is a debate. Question Time typically composed of 5 public figures, mostly representatives from political parties, large corporations, leading experts or academics, lawyers, police officers, essentially a array of the peoples that help control the UK. Audience members are selected by an audience producer based on age, gender, occupation, ethnicity, disability status, etc. The audience members are requested to come up with questions to be considered for the programme, for the panel to hear the questions and respond. Although most of the audience members that are selected would have been selected due to their type of question or alternatively being placed, with the world currently as it is and the censoring in place, we have to question what we are being shown. I don't normally watch this programme, but the other night I caught it, I watched it, and a few things caught my eye. The questions can vary, but generally this is in regard to the recent announcement of the UK budget, the 2023 budget, but also will cover questions from other UK political topics. Let's take a look.
Yes.
I'd just like to wonder how the government can justify giving tax relief to the top 1% when there's people going to food banks. These people who are getting this tax relief can already afford to pay up to £3,500 a month into the private pension scheme, and yet they're giving them more, and the people who need it most are getting less.
It's disgusting. It's almost like they're taking the piss at this point. The mocking is beyond belief, and they keep bending and bending and bending, but when will we break? Politicians, regardless of the outfit that they represent, all the same. No change comes regardless of political party. The next speaker, Stephen Flynn, I found interesting.
Well, the folk who I speak to will share the same view that I do right now, that this budget is a complete and utter letdown. And I'm quite angry about it because people can't afford to pay their energy bills, they can't afford to pay their mortgages, they can't afford to pay their rent, they can't afford to pay their food bills, they can't afford, some of them, to put clothes on their kids' back or shoes on their kids' feet. And the Chancellor's answer to that was to keep energy bills at an astronomically high level while stealthily taking £400 away through the energy rebate scheme. He wants old people and disabled people to pull up their socks and have an MOT and go back to work. He wants to give the richest people in society a tax break on their pensions. What planet do these people live on?
Well, ours now. They rape, they pillage, and they mock. Something has to change. No longer can the people be sheep. They need to see that the shepherd is no shepherd. And who am I to say who that shepherd should be? To make a nice little rhyme, we all have this shepherd within thee. But talking about the leader of the world. And who am I to say who that shepherd should be? But I always thought it should be the wisest, the most compassionate amongst the people that should lead the people. Not the most corrupt and cold-hearted. This next clip shows a politician, when they stumble, they get caught out and don't know what to say. And when this happens, it's mostly just laughed about and brushed aside, but we should pull on this more often. We should push harder, ask the harder questions, make them stumble upon themselves.
Just to point out the obvious.
I came into Parliament only 5 years ago.
I'm talking about the government.
Right, yeah.
Quite a long time to work out if you're doing it properly or not.
Well, it is clear
Put down the
that
spade. Put down the spade.
in all areas.
Keep going, Bim. Keep
in all
going.
areas,
Come on.
We are not doing this very, very well because it is a really complicated, big, one of the biggest infrastructure problems, one of the biggest infrastructure schemes in the world. But we can do it because Crossrail did get done.
And these are the people running the country. The next clip makes complete sense to me, and although he gets no clap and no other panel member agrees with him, what he says is right, but across the board, including his own party. Different ties with the same agenda, different parties where nothing will change. The illusion of colour, red and blue, the illusion of choice,
So the next general election, I think everyone's relatively assured of the fact that Keir Starmer is more likely to become Prime Minister than Rishi Sunak is. However, in Scotland, the argument is very, very different. The SNP is obviously ahead in the polls, and comfortably so, and we hope to continue to be. So that means that we have an important job to do to keep the Labour Party honest. And I referred to this earlier because the way I see Keir Starmer, he's a pale imitation of Rishi Sunak at the moment. When you look at the customs union, when you look at the single market, when you look at Brexit, when you look at the decision in relation to Scotland's constitutional future, he is literally David Cameron with a red tie. He is literally David Cameron with a red tie. He is literally David Cameron with a red tie.
The trouble is keeping them all honest. Every promise made gets broken. Every good proposal that gets put forward is delayed, and excuse after excuse. And as soon as the word honest came up, a huge swallow and a look in the face. And as said before, the statement about the ties is true all across the board.
It's allow the people of Scotland the right to choose their own future, because at the moment, whether it's Rishi Sunak or Keir Starmer, they continue to deny the people of Scotland the right to choose their future, a very basic principle in democracy. And whether you are a unionist or a nationalist, you should be concerned about that democratic issue.
And you're raising your eyebrows at quite a lot of that.
I'm afraid I was, yeah. I did a bit of an eyebrow moment.
It isn't just in Scotland, it's across the world. As spoke about before, that false sense of choice. And of course you would raise our eyebrows.
I think describing Keir Starmer as David Cameron in a red tie or whatever, frankly, trivialises politics.
It doesn't.
And frankly, if you were to say something similar about a leading Conservative politician, I'd feel the same way. I think we've got to grow up. We've got to learn to work together.
Who doesn't see politics as trivial these days? And growing up, working together, I'm sure that's what they're doing behind closed doors anyway. What we need to do is not grow up, but wake up. And there's a huge majority of us getting there already. Remember, sheep can be led the other way.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's an unfair comparison. And we'll take one example.
It's ridiculous. It's an absolutely ridiculous comparison.
So the government's policy just the other day was to stop the boats. Labour's policy the next day, stop small boats. Almost the exact same policy. When you look at the single market, it's the same. When you look at the customs union, it's the same. When you look at freedom of movement, the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, their policies are the exact same.
No,
and we shouldn't be afraid to call it out for what it is.
No, they aren't.
We shouldn't be afraid to call it out for what it is.
No, they aren't. And you're just being ridiculous.
Should we call David Cameron and find out what he thinks? Seeing as
I
that was
suspect
right.
David Cameron will disagree.
I think so too.
OK, before... Yeah, let's just keep things calm.
Well, that caused some outrage, didn't it? And just keep it calm. Calm it down, maybe you'll get hurt. The truth really offends people, and for other people, the truth can be confusing. But he isn't far off what he's saying at all.
Thank you very much to the panel, to all of you for coming along here this evening in Warrington. It was great to see you.
Question time. I think it's time to question.
What do you want? When do you want it? How do you want it? Who's your daddy? What about your mum? Silence! One speak at a time. No, one. It's not going to work, guys. Who are you voting for?